Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about a dream of mine. And it's something that is so niche that, collectors will understand it, but not everyone will understand it. Now, a dream of mine is something that so many people have achieved on YouTube, and I've been watching videos the past couple of weeks of people doing just this. And it's that I would love to eventually make, when I do have my own place and have a server rack or whatever, my own like RF channel that I could have just for my own house or whatever, but like have my own RF channel that broadcasts like all of Yu-Gi-Oh or all of, I don't know, South Park or Simpsons or whatever, you know. I kind of want the idea of like a running channel that I don't get to choose what episode's on, but I will just watch it. And you might say, but TV's still there. But the idea is that I want to watch, like, I want to create my own rundown. I want to create my own lineup of, okay, at 8:30 at night, we're going to put on Dragon Ball Z, or, you know, and then at 10:30 at night, we'll watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast. And then after midnight, it'll be like music videos, you know, like the old music shows like Rage and that. You know, I would want to have my own channel, you know, not like my own channel that I'll like start and broadcast to the world. Just my own channel at my house where I could have like VLC or whatever. But I don't want it to be a playlist. I'd want actual times to broadcast, and I'd want to put in old school ads to, like, you know, have the nostalgia experience, you know? So that's something of a dream of mine. And I've seen so many people do it where they'll back up their DVDs and then put them all onto a Raspberry Pi and then have the Raspberry Pi autoplay them around the clock. I've seen even people go the next step and have modulators and basically broadcast to their TV. So it's essentially, you can, on an old CRT, you can go to channel 13 or you can go to channel 15 or something, and you can broadcast it, you know? You can have it on your TV. And I think that's pretty fun. Like, that seems like a fun project to eventually do. But we're not there yet. I'm definitely not doing it yet. But yeah, it's something of a dream of mine. It's something that I'll be like, yeah, I want to have like all the old school TV shows, like obviously Get Smart or whatever. I'd want to have that on once a day or twice a day, you know? I could actually think of like, okay, how would I create like a rundown, like a syndication list or whatever, you know? How would I do that? Okay, I'd want, you know, mornings might be like, I don't know, kids shows, like, you know, Rugrats and that. And then 10 o'clock till midday, you know, find some talk shows, old talk shows, and put in that lineup. Then, you know, 3 o'clock, put on Judge Judy. Australian kids will remember. Australian kids will remember. And also Yui's Cooking Adventures. Yui's Cooking Adventures were freaking awesome. But, you know, this is the whole thing. It's like, I'm constantly like, that would be a really cool project to eventually work on. Now, obviously, I'm not there yet. I'm not in my own, like, this is a apartment, but I'm not in my own house. I don't have, I mean, it is a house, but it's like, it's an apartment, but it's also like, I can't just have server racks all over the place. I would have to wait until I probably buy, and before I do that project, I'd have to wait till I buy and then have somewhere to put the server rack, air conditioning, you know, there's a lot of variables with that. And you might say, oh, but you can just do it on Raspberry Pi and just turn it off when you don't want to use it. But the idea is that it will be running 24/7. It will be available if I turn on my CRT. It'll just be there. I can go and say, okay, and I want multiple channels. I don't want just one channel. I want like 5 or 6 different channels, so I can have like, okay, anime channel, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh might be on, then Pokemon at 8:30 or 9, or, you know, I want to have that. And then I want to have like, okay, movie channel. Okay, it's like dark movies, and then it's like, you know, I want to have like the full experience. And that's the thing I'm trying to think of, and that's the thing I'm analyzing by watching so many YouTube videos. I'm thinking like, how did other YouTubers do it? How did other people do it? Because it has been done. It has been done over and over again. But it is a big, lengthy process. And me, as always, I'm trying to find the easy way to do it. I'm trying to think, okay, if I put a bunch of things into a what's it called, like a router almost, then I can essentially use that, and instead of typing the number into the TV, I put it on like an AV channel on the CRT, and then I could put it as like, okay, if I type 13 into the router, then bang, it pops up. And that's what I'm kind of thinking. But yeah, that's something for like, that's like a 10-year project that I've been dreaming of. And I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's possible. And that's the thing. I don't want it to be Blu-ray rips. I don't want to rip my Blu-ray collection. It has to be from my DVD collection because I want it to be for a CRT. I want it to be 4:3. So yeah, and I can hear sirens. So they're coming to get me because I've already talked about ripping my DVDs. Nah, I don't know. The cops are going somewhere. But you know, I'm just thinking about that would be a really cool project to eventually rip these into whatever and then keep the DVDs. Don't chuck out the DVDs. And that's what I hate when so many people say we're going to rip out DVDs. They just say, oh, well, I don't need these silly things anymore. No, you keep them. They're the hard media. You need to back them. If your hard drive ever crashes, this is the media you can rip again or whatever if you were going to do that. But that's the thing I kind of want. I'm picturing like what would that even look like if I was to rip it and then do that. I mean, I have ripped things like the Dragon boxes in the past and my Dragon Ball Z individual DVDs. But I'm constantly thinking like, okay, what would I do if I did this? Like, how would this work? How would this operate? And there is more sirens. I gotta stop talking about ripping my DVDs. See, I'm triggering all the sirens. But yeah, yeah. Have you ever thought about that? Like, not that any of us are gonna do it, but have you ever just thought about like, hey, that would be a pretty cool dream? There was another one I thought of like bringing back an iPod, but like with a Bluetooth and like hard battery and like all the modern features you would expect from a modern device, but in an iPod from like 20, 30 years ago. Is it 30 years ago? No, it came out in not 2001. So, a modern take on an iPod, but there's so many people trying to do that already. Like that is one of the biggest areas of YouTube. Like everyone's trying to bring back the iPod experience. But, truly offline is kind of a fun thing. And that's kind of what I want to do. Like long term, I would look at potentially starting up my own like home channel, like homebrew channel, like at home and not broadcasting to the world, but just broadcasting to one TV in my house. And that's kind of the fun thing. Like that's kind of the project I eventually want to work on and have something at home that I can do that with. But we're not there yet. I need to I need to buy a house first. And that's something that is quite difficult in Australia because a house pretty much goes for about maybe 14 to 16 times their income, sometimes even higher than that, sometimes even 25 times their income. So it's quite difficult, and we're the second most expensive city. Sydney is the second most expensive city in the world, right behind Hong Kong. So just give you an idea of how expensive it is to live in Australia. You have the house, which is basically the most expensive thing, one of the most expensive assets in the world to buy. And then, the food is so expensive. Like there's a lot of price gouging going on at like supermarkets at the moment. And they say they're not price gouging. They say this is price of operation, but they're price gouging. I mean, you look at what they're paying the farmers for like milk, and then you look at, okay, how can you justify paying farmers like $1 for, or like 50 cents to $1 for milk, and then you're charging $3, $5 for it? And yeah, there's production costs in there. Obviously, they're bottling it, they're moving it from point A to point B, and all that stuff. But that is not an extra $2, $3 that isn't going to the farmers. They're really undercutting the farmers at this point. And I've seen Woolworths and Coles like just throw out basically good food, just saying, oh, this banana's too small, and this one, that apple's too warped, we don't want that one. And it's like, I mean, there are other ways to do it. I mean, you could put it there as like an off-brand section, and you could have it as a cheaper section, but that's not how supermarkets work. Anyways, guys, this has been a bit of a rant, and yeah, let me know what you think about that idea. And yeah, it's something I'm not going to work on for probably 10 years, but it's a dream. Peace.